What is the real value of Claude Code Max for $200? What API price you get for this value? I just spent my last week trying to find out exactly how much did you spend, how much can you spend with a Claude subscription directly if we compare it to the API cost. And for this, I analyze my usage and the spend. My references for this, and I really deeply analyze with a lot of different stuff to know exactly how accurate is it, and it's pretty well. I find that during 6%, so I just start a new weekly session, and when I go to 7%, I check how much did I spend, and I spend around $50 for this 6% exactly. Okay, this is really important because if we multiply this value by this value, it means that 100% can be worth $800. And during another test that is really funny, I go to 86% to 100%, meaning I use 40% to finish my weekly limit, and I was able to spend 133%, what would mean that I can spend $900. If it's bigger, it's because when I make this, first, I don't know if I start from 6 or 6.9 or 6.1. And second, when I arrive to 100%, I was able to use it again and again and again without stop, what make my spending increase even more. So when we have this, I will start by the principle that the weekly limit is $800. This is really true in all my experiments, and $800 is a beautiful number. Why? Because it's a multiply of 200, of 100, and of 20. That is the price of the Claude Code subscription. So starting with this information, we can have this table. So when I use 6% of my weekly limit, I will say that the weekly limit is around $800. So I can spend every day around $114. So the weekly limit is 800, and the monthly limit is 4 times the weekly limit, that is around $3,200. So every week with Claude Code $200 a month subscription, so not this one, but the 20x, you can use up to $3,200 worth of API usage. And now I know what you will say. You will say, but Claude doesn't pay this value. Claude doesn't care about this value because Claude doesn't pay $3,200. When I say $3,200, it's what we name the cost of the API. So we have the Claude API like this. I will change the color. And we have Claude Code. When we use Claude Code, we can use our subscription that we pay a flat fees of $200. If we don't use Claude Code all the months, we will pay $200. And if we use Claude Code every day, maximum usage, we will spend $3,200. Let's imagine that we spend $3,200. Now, tomorrow, I decide to continue to use the same amount of usage, so I use the maximum I can, but this time I use Cursor with my API key directly. When you use Cursor with your API key, you don't use your subscription of Claude. You will use the API cost. And what Claude will charge you for this a lot of token, it's $3,200. So it's why when I say with Claude Code $200 subscription, you have worst API cost of $3,200. But obviously, Claude doesn't pay this value because the inference is really cheap. But when we ask Claude just here what is the price of Anthropic Pay, they say that there is only a 1.7 to 3 time margin on top of what they charge. But I think it's 7 more, but this is personal opinion. Anyway, this is the price. So when we compare it to the plan, so for $200 a month, you get $3,200 of API token. This is a 16-time ratio. So every $1 you spend, you earn $16. This is insane. Then for the $100 a month, you will have 4 times less. Why 4 times? Because you go from 20x to 5x 20 divided by 5 is 4. So we divide 3,200 by 4, we get 800. And so you have approximately 8 times your dollar. So for every dollar you spend when you have this $20 a month or this $100 a month plan, you earn $8. You earn $8, yes. And when you use the $20 a month, is exactly the same. You earn also $8. Why? Because we can see that the Max 100 have 5 times more than the Pro. And if we divide 100 by 5, if we divide 100 by 20, we get 5. So it's exactly the same ratio. We divide 3,200 by 20, we get 182, and it's 8 times the usage. So this is the real price of what you get when you use Claude and Anthropic subscription. And this is why, when I make this tweet, this is why Claude Code want to cancel OpenCode or any other alternative, because they doesn't want you to basically use their subscription where they maybe lose money for the, if we say that the price of inference is 2.5 times more. So when you have this 16 time, they pay 6.4 times more when you use the full weekly limit. But how many percentage of users spend the full weekly limit? There is not a lot. I think it's less than 10%. So they are worse like this. But still, they don't want you to use the Claude Code subscription with another tool. It's obvious because when you use Claude Code, then you use Claude, then you use Cowork, then you use Code, and then you use the whole suite, and then you are more money for Claude. Then you convert your coworker, then you say to everyone that Claude Code is good and everything. So anyway, the most funny thing we have is when we compare to the Cursor price. So I have a really nice tweet just here. $200 a month for Cursor Ultra plan. Roughly equate to $500 in token. So when you pay $200 a month for Cursor, you get $500 worth of token. If we make the price, it means that Cursor, for taking a subscription, they give you 2.5x the value of the token. So if we compare to Claude Code and this 16 time, it means that with Claude Max, you have 6.2x the usage of Cursor. It means that when you pay $200 in Cursor, if you would want to have as much as Claude Code, you will need to pay 1,280. So this is why everyone is talking about Claude Code. This is why they are really lucky, because they have the best model. I think OpenAI give that big discount, but even if OpenAI give it, they have the best model and they use the unfair advantage pretty well. So that's it for this video. Comment if you like. Bye bye.